we have a new top text-to-speech generator that's completely free to use. And this might be the best one out there in terms of controlling emotions and expressiveness. So in this video, I'm going to go over all the cool things that it can do. Plus, of course, I'm going to show you how you can install this on your computer so you can run it for free for unlimited times offline. Let's jump right in. So this new AI is called IndexTTS2. As the name implies, this is basically a better version than the previous IndexTTS. First of all, here are some of their demos, and then I'm also going to show you some of my personal demos on how good this is at cloning existing voices and also controlling for the emotions of the voice. First of all, here's an example where they took a movie that was in Chinese and they basically plugged it through this AI to clone each actor's voice, but then make them speak out the transcript in English instead. So first of all, here's the original audio.
你给翻译翻译，什么叫惊喜?
And then here is the audio after plugging it through this AI.
Translate. What is a surprise?
There is nothing to translate.
I'm asking you to translate it. What is a surprise?
A surprise means a surprise.
Can't you understand what a surprise means? Just go ahead and tell me, what is a surprise?
It means that in 3 days I will give you 180 million to suppress the bandits and fix my leg. Is that clear?
This is the surprise.
Translated.
As you can hear, it can capture the original emotions and expressiveness from the original video, even though this is just text-to-speech. It's not even voice-to-voice. Here's another example.
你就不怕报应？午夜梦回的时候，你就不怕纯元和孩子来向你追魂索命？
他要来索命，尽管来索呀！
Aren't you afraid of retribution? In the dead of night, aren't you scared that Chunyuan and the child will come for your soul?
If she wants my soul, just take it away! 尸身在雨中走了一晚上，想走到阎罗殿，求满殿神佛，要索命就索我的命，别索我儿子的命啊 I carried his body, walked through the rain all night long, reached the hall of hell, begged the deities. If you must take a life, take mine, not my son's. Please spare him!
Again, as you can hear, it's really good at conveying different emotions, like sadness. Now, this is really good at cloning anyone with just a few seconds of their voice. So for example, here is the original voice.
It has traditionally been used for growth of human lymphocytes.
So that's just 4 seconds of this woman's voice. And then we can plug it through this AI to speak out this text. And here's what it sounds like.
The equipment needed to do this includes rock saws and polishers.
Notice that it sounds exactly like the input voice. Or here's another example. Here's the input voice.
At other times, at a crucial moment, I make it easier for things to happen.
And let's get her to speak this out. So here's what that sounds like.
There is no wine in this country, the young man said.
Now that's easy stuff. I mean, most text-to-speech generators can easily clone someone's voice and make them speak out another sentence. Where this new tool really shines is its ability to portray different emotions, which you can control. So for example, here's the input voice. It's only 2 seconds.
不好吧，节食减肥很痛苦。
And then let's get him to speak this out. However, we also can add an extra layer describing the emotion. So let's get him to speak this out while he is feeling really down. Let's hear what that sounds like.
Was this my blessing or my curse? It's not just the emperor who was wrong, I was even more mistaken. All these years of love and devotion. In the end, were they nothing but a wasted heart?
Now, instead of him feeling really down, let's get him to speak the same sentence, but this time he is extremely depressed. So let's hear what that sounds like.
Was this my blessing or my curse? It's not just the emperor who was wrong, I was even more mistaken. All these years of love and devotion. In the end, were they nothing but a wasted heart?
Notice how expressive this is. Now, there are a ton of examples on this page, plus they also compare the same generations with other text-to-speech generators, which I've gone over on my channel before, such as SparkTTS and my previous favorite, F5TTS. I'm not going to go over all these examples, but on average, you should hear that IndexTTS is slightly better. Now, instead of just playing their official demos, let's actually try this out. So here's what the interface looks like. I'll go over how to install this and all the settings in a second, but let's try out some demos. So I'm going to upload this American female voice. Let me first play you the original clip.
Hi there. Need a smart, confident, friendly young adult voice? I'm ready and willing. So let's get started and get your audience absolutely hooked.
Alright, and then for the transcript, let's paste in this sentence. Now, we can just get her to speak this out in a neutral tone, but that's pretty boring. All the text-to-speech generators can do this. What we're going to do is, over here, we are going to adjust these emotion sliders. So first of all, let's just drag happy all the way to 1, and then click synthesize. And this should make her speak out this sentence in a very happy tone. Let's hear what this sounds like.
I feel like my heart could burst with joy just thinking about all the wonderful things happening.
And indeed, she sounds a lot happier than, her original input voice. Now let's play with this a bit more. Instead of making it sound happy, let's set this back to 0, and let's get her to speak out this sentence, but in a very sad tone. I'm going to drag this sad slider all the way to 1, and then click synthesize. And here is what we get.
I feel like my heart could burst with joy just thinking about all the wonderful things happening.
And as you can hear, she does sound a lot sadder than the previous generation. So as you can see, this tool is really good at controlling the emotions of your output while preserving the tone of your reference voice. Here's another example. I'm going to paste in this transcript, and then for the reference voice, I'm going to use this clip.
I expect nothing but excellence from this team. Let's set the bar high and exceed it.
Now to start, let's just get rid of all emotions and get it to generate this using just the voice reference. Let's click synthesize and hear what that sounds like.
I can't believe you'd do this to me, you absolute traitor.
So it's very neutral and boring tone. Instead, what we're going to do is set an emotion vector, and let's drag angry all the way to 1, and also for hate, let's drag this to something like 0.4. And then let's click synthesize. Alright, here's what it sounds like.
I can't believe you do this to me! You absolute traitor!
And as you can see, it adds a lot more expressiveness and anger to the generation. Very nice. Next, let me paste in another transcript, and let me also upload a new reference voice. This time it's going to be a British voice. Let me play you the reference clip first.
There is an art, the Hitchhiker's Guide says, or rather a knack to flying. It lies in learning how to throw yourself at the ground and miss.
Alright, so let's get him to speak this sentence out. However, instead of using an emotional vector, what I'm going to do is upload another reference audio clip, which is going to contain the emotion which we want to clone. So I'm going to upload another reference clip of a really sad sounding guy. Let me play this for you first.
Can we just get on with it already? My body is starting to take a toll.
And then here's where I can control how much influence I want this emotion to have on my generation. So let's just leave it at the default of 0.8 and then click synthesize. And here's what we get.
I never thought I would have to say goodbye so soon. And now that you're gone, every moment feels like an endless ache in my heart.
How cool is that? So you can hear that not only does it make this British voice say this out, but it makes him say it out using the emotions based on this reference audio clip. So this is a super flexible tool which allows you to control the expressiveness or the emotions of a voice generation. Alright, next, let me also demo its voice cloning capabilities. So I'm going to upload the voices of some existing characters so you can hear if the output actually sounds like the real person. Let's do a Trump example. So here's a 6-second audio clip of Trump.
Now I have to also see, because it takes two people to tango, and I say it all the time.
And I'm not going to specify any emotion here. I'm just going to use the same emotion as this reference clip. And then let's get him to speak this out. And here's what we get.
Look, folks, nobody knows success better than me. We're doing things nobody thought possible. Tremendous things.
And this does sound like Trump. Pretty impressive how it's able to clone this with only 6 seconds of his voice. Alright, let's try another example. So here I'm going to upload Farina from Genshin Impact. Here's what the original voice sounds like.
I'm very confident in my singing skills. But there aren't many pieces of music that are worthy of my vocal prowess.
So it's very expressive voice. Let's get her to speak this out. Alright, here's the result.
It's like my mind is racing at 1,000 miles, buzzing with anticipation and the thrill of what's about to happen next.
And it does sound like the original voice. Or let's also test out different accents. So I'm going to upload this Aussie male voice.
G'day cobbers, my voice is a fair dinkum Aussie voice. Great for a ripper yarn about life down under. You'll be a true blue Aussie in no time, mate.
And then let's get him to speak out the same transcript. Here's what we get.
It's like my mind is racing at 1,000 miles, buzzing with anticipation and the thrill of what's about to happen next.
It doesn't seem to do that well with accents. I tried the same thing with another tool called Vibe Voice by Microsoft, and it sounds way better.
Sounds good! Excited to see you and the team smash it at the meeting!
In fact, if you haven't heard of Vibe Voice, definitely see this video where I review it and go over how to install it. This is also a super powerful and free text-to-speech generator which allows up to 4 speakers and generations of over 90 minutes. Anyways, back to here, let's test out another accent. So let's also try the same transcript, but this time I'm gonna upload an Indian accent.
Elevate your narrative with an Indian female voice that ignites curiosity and transforms every line into a captivating story.
Alright, let's click synthesize and see if it can also clone her accent. Here's what we get.
It's like my mind is racing at 1,000 miles, buzzing with anticipation and the thrill of what's about to happen next.
Now, surprisingly, this one is pretty good. So it seems like it can handle some accents, but not others. Speaking of AI tools, you've got to check out Gamma, the sponsor of this video. Gamma is the easiest way to make presentations, websites, and socials with AI. They've just launched Gamma 3.0 with some exciting new tools, including Gamma Agent and Gamma API. Gamma Agent is like your design assistant. It can autonomously search the web, use your uploads, and improve your slides in seconds all by itself. Simply select Agent in the top right corner and prompt it just like a chatbot. For example, check out how it can autonomously create an entire sales deck for a marketing agency like this. Or I can upload my logo and get it to create a pitch deck for my channel. And I can prompt it further to edit or change the style of the presentation. This is so fast and easy, and you can tap into the power of Gamma using the new Gamma API. Easily connect it to tools like Zapier or Make or other data sources. If you're a marketer, agency, educator, consultant, or basically anyone who needs to create a lot of content, Gamma is the all-in-one content creation platform for you. You can easily make beautiful presentations, websites, social media carousels, documents, and more, even if you have no design skills. Visit gamma.app to try Gamma for free today. The link will be in the description below. Next, I want to test out its ability to speak out different languages. So I'm going to use this American female voice again.
Hi there. Need a smart, confident, friendly young adult voice? I'm ready and willing. So let's get started and get your audience absolutely hooked.
And let's see if she can pronounce all these different languages. So we have Spanish, Chinese, Japanese, French, Hindi, Korean, and German. Let's click synthesize. And here's what we get.
Clouds have souls. El gato condujo el kosh. 我吃了一桶鸡肉粉。猫车车气运传传推。Saki na cheese onto na ni ming. Dai zwine 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 zwine. Dai katze for. Das Auto.
Alright, so it messed up a ton of languages there. It doesn't seem like it can speak multiple languages in the same sentence. That being said, let's also try this. So it messed up the Spanish sentence, but let me try to upload a Spanish voice and see if she can pronounce this well. So here's my reference voice.
A veces solo necesitas una voz clara y directa que transmita la información de manera sencilla y efectiva, sin rodeos ni complicaciones.
And let's see if it can pronounce the Spanish correctly.
El gato condujo el coche.
Alright, so it still messed up the Spanish. This sounds pretty horrible. So as you can see, it's not that good with different languages. And in this case, Vibe Voice is better. For your reference, here's the generation from Vibe Voice.
昨日の夜、友達と一緒に新しいレストランで美味しい料理を食べました。
Cuando termine de estudiar, quiero viajar por todo el mundo y conocer diferentes culturas.
Am Wochenende haben wir eine lange Wanderung im Wald gemacht und die frische Luft genossen.
Finally, I also wanted to see if it can handle words that have different pronunciation. So I'm going to input this sentence, and this time I'm going to upload a sample of Jensen Huang's voice.
How is it possible that NVIDIA became so big building GPUs? And so there's an impression that this is what a GPU looks like. Now, this is a GPU. This is one of the most advanced GPUs in the world, but this is a gamer GPU.
All right, and then here's the transcript. Let's click synthesize. And here's what we get.
The wind was too strong to wind the kite. The record producer refused to record the band's new single.
And it nailed it. It knew to pronounce wind here and wind over here, plus record here and record over here. So those are some of my quick tests with IndexTTS2. Next, let's go over where and how to use it. So I'm going to link to this GitHub repo in the description below, and at the top here, they actually offer a free Hugging Face space for you to use this online. So if you don't have a nice GPU, well, you can use it for free on this online platform. You can run like around 10 generations before you run out of free daily credits on Hugging Face, but this refreshes every day. Now, in addition to running this online, because they've open sourced everything, that means you can download this and run it locally on your computer for unlimited times. So that's exactly what we're going to go over next. Now, unfortunately, on this GitHub repo, they don't specify the minimum VRAM required, but if you click into this Hugging Face link where they've uploaded the models, here it doesn't look like the model is that big. So for example, over here, this is like 5 gigabytes in total. And then if I click on this model.safetensors file is just a bit over 1 gigabyte. So I'm assuming this should work with most consumer grade GPUs, even if you have low VRAM. All right, so let's go over how to install this step by step. I'm basically going to follow the instructions that they put on the GitHub repo. So if you scroll down a bit, we will start over here in this usage instructions section. Now, before we start doing this, this requires that you have Python installed on your computer. If you don't, here is how to install Python. If you already have Python installed, feel free to skip this section. And by the way, how do you check if you already have Python? Well, you can simply search for command prompt and then type in Python -- version. And so I don't have Python installed yet, so it would say Python was not found. So let's exit this, and then to install it, go to downloads, and then I'm using Windows, so I'm going to click on Windows. Note that most open source AI projects on GitHub uses Python of version 3.8 to 3.11. So I would not recommend you install Python 3.12 or 3.13. So we'll scroll all the way down until we see 3.11. So let's go with this one, Python 3.11.9. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on this 64-bit Windows installer. That's just going to download this exe file, which I will then open. So after you open this exe, you should see this window pop up. Make sure you check Add Python to Path. You can also customize the installation by choosing the installation location and certain features, but I'm just going to go with the default install now. If all goes well, you should be able to see setup was successful. That's all you need to do. And to double check that you indeed have Python installed now, simply search for command prompt again, and then we'll type in Python -- version, and you can see that we have Python version 3.11.9 installed. Now, assuming you already have Python installed, you also need to have Git and Git LFS installed on your computer. So here's how to install Git. If you already have Git installed, feel free to skip to the next section. So all we got to do is download the latest release for whatever operating system you're using. So I'm using Windows, so I'm just going to click on download for Windows. I'm running 64-bit, so I'm going to click on this to download, and it's now downloading this exe file. So once that's completed, all we got to do is open that exe file and then follow the steps. So I'm going to click on next. I'm just going to go with the default install location, which is program files /git. So I'll click next for that. And then I'm just going to leave this at the default. And then I'm going to click next again and click next here. We're just going to use the default settings for all of these. There's a lot of settings that you need to go through, so I'm just going to click next for all of these. All right, and then it should go ahead and install all the files, so this might take a few minutes. Perfect, so now we have Git installed. All right, now assuming you do have Git installed on your computer, the next step is you also need to install Git LFS. If you already have this, feel free to skip to the next section. If you don't, here is how to install Git LFS. So I'll link to this page in the description below, where you can basically download an exe file to install Git LFS. So I'm just going to download this exe file and then open it to run the installer. So I'm going to accept the agreement and then click next, and then next, and that's pretty much it. And then the next step is to open up command prompt and then type this, git LFS install. So let me just copy this line and then paste it in here. And you should see git LFS initialized. Next, we need to choose a place on your computer to clone this GitHub repository. So it can be anywhere on your computer. For me, I'm just going to download this on my desktop. So I'm going to open up my desktop and then at the top bar here, type in cmd. So this will open up command prompt within my desktop. And then next, I just need to git clone this repository. So let me copy this line and then paste it in here. Alright, after that's done, the next step is to use Git LFS to pull all the large files from this repository. So I'm going to copy this and then paste it in here. Alright, and then afterwards, we also need to install this UV package manager. Now the easiest way to install this is to just use pip install and then UV. So I'm just going to copy this line and then paste it in here. So this is going to install this package called UV globally on my computer. Now this might take a while depending on the speed of your internet, but afterwards you should see this line with no error messages. So let's just double check to make sure we cloned everything properly. So on my desktop, I should now see this new IndexTTS folder. And if I open this, it should contain all the files and folders that are cloned from the GitHub repo. Now the next step before we start installing anything else is it's best to create a virtual environment first. Now, in order to do that, within your IndexTTS folder at the top here, let's type in cmd to open this folder up in command prompt. So we are going to type python-m venv.venv. Now you can name this to something else, but just to keep it simple, let's call this .venv. Now the purpose of creating a virtual environment is, think of it as like a separate hard drive which houses all the packages and dependencies for IndexTTS. This is important because these dependencies might conflict with other existing tools on your computer. So it's important to separate this in its own container or virtual environment so it can run smoothly without affecting anything else. Now if you go back to our folder, you should see this new .venv folder, and this is going to house all the dependencies that we will install next. Now, before we start installing anything, we also need to activate this virtual environment first. So let's paste in this line, .venv/scripts.activate, note the capital S here, and this is basically going to activate our virtual environment, which we named .venv. All right, now going back here, we need to use UV to basically install the correct versions of all dependencies into our virtual environment. So I'm just going to copy this line and then paste it in here, and then press enter. And this now proceeds to install a ton of packages and dependencies, as you can see from my command prompt over here. So it's going to take a while to download everything depending on the speed of your internet. Now, it installed most packages except for this deep speed package. And that's okay because I'm using Windows and it says, well, the deep speed library might be difficult to install, but we can just skip it. So the next step is to then use the Hugging Face CLI to download all the models that are required for IndexTTS2. So I'm just going to copy this line and then paste it in here. So it first executes the first line and it downloaded and installed these additional packages, and then I'm going to enter the second line, and now it's proceeding to install the actual model for IndexTTS. Notice that these are like several gigabytes in size, so it's going to take a while to download everything. Alright, if all goes well, you should see this line again with no error messages. And we have successfully installed IndexTTS2. Now let me exit out of this and show you how to start the interface from scratch. So all we need to do is double click into your IndexTTS folder, and then at the top here, type in cmd to open this up in command prompt. And then first we are going to activate or enter our virtual environment by again typing .venv and then /scripts/activate. And then afterwards, we can just use UV to run this webui.py file. So let me copy this and then paste it in here. Now, the first time I paste this in, it's going to proceed to install some additional packages and dependencies. So it's going to take a while. Notice, for example, Torch is like over 3 gigabytes in size. And then afterwards, it proceeds to download some additional models. So for example, you can see like this one is over 2 gigabytes in size. And then these are like several hundred megabytes. So again, it's going to take a while to download. But afterwards, you should see this URL. So simply hold Control and click into this link. However, notice that it's not going to work because this is just 4 zeros. So going back to the documentation, it seems like you need to set this to 127.0.0.1. So instead, I'm going to copy this URL and then paste it in my browser and press enter. And voila, you should see this interface. And that signifies that you have successfully set up IndexTTS2. Now, the settings are pretty self-explanatory, but let's just go over everything really quickly. So here is where you would upload a few seconds of a reference voice, which you want to clone. And then here is where you would enter the transcript, or basically what you want this voice to speak out. And then down here, you can also control the emotion of your output with these settings. So if you select this same as the voice reference, it's basically going to follow the same expressiveness as what you uploaded. Or you can choose this to upload an additional reference audio clip which contains the emotion which you want to portray. I should have shown you this earlier in the video when I did some demos. And then finally, you can also use this Use Emotion Vectors option, which basically gives you sliders for a ton of emotions which you can adjust. So if you want your output to be happy and surprised, well, you can drag the sliders like this. Or if you want your output to be angry and slightly disgusted, you can set something like this. So it's pretty self-explanatory. This gives you really fine control over the exact emotions which you want to portray in your output. And that's pretty much it. That is how you can use IndexTTS2. After trying this out for a bit, this is definitely one of the top and most accurate and expressive text-to-speech generators we have so far. Definitely give this a shot and let me know what you think. If you run into any errors during the installation, also welcome to paste the error message in the comments below and I'll try to help you troubleshoot as much as possible. As always, I will be on the lookout for the top AI news and tools to share with you. So if you enjoyed this video, remember to like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content. Also, there's just so much happening in the world of AI every week. I can't possibly cover everything on my YouTube channel. So to really stay up to date with all that's going on in AI, be sure to subscribe to my free weekly newsletter. The link to that will be in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.